Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files, where we're going to be doing the year in review of 2022. This episode is going to be my favorite reissues of the year this year. There were a lot of great ones, and it took me a little while to narrow them down. I want to say I had like 17 or 18 on my list, and I had to kind of whittle that down. And I decided on all of these that I'm going to have 10 favorites. So I'm going to go through them all now, and we'll see what you think about them, and we'll love to hear your feedback in the comments below. So anyway, we'll start it off with probably one of the most obvious ones, if any of you know me and are also a Beatles fan. It's the Revolver reissue on vinyl. I have this. I typically buy the CD one also because they generally have a high resolution audio and surround sound versions of the original album or the remixes and on a Blu-ray. But this year they didn't do that, so that was actually a pretty big disappointment for me. I'm going to kind of throw in a couple of disappointments for the year as well. And that was definitely one of them. It was a pretty big one for me. I have always bought the CD version again just because I got a physical copy of the surround sound mix and a high resolution digital version of the remix, and didn't do that this year. But this is a great box set for vinyl. What set this apart from most of the previous ones is they actually took and added, I should say, the mono version of the album on into here as an added bonus. And what they did is they actually cut it from the original master, analog master, so it's an all analog, and it's actually different than the one from, I think it's 2015. So it's a new cut of the original master tapes in mono. Plus, you've got all the studio sessions, you've got a great book, things on that nature. So great box set as usual for different reasons this time around, and a disappointment in the CD version that I didn't end up buying because of the reasons I gave. Next one up was a nice surprise, and we have a couple that are like this in my top 10 here, but this one is Curtis Mayfield's Superfly, and this is the, I think, 50th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a 2 LP set. The first record is cut by, I believe, Kevin Gray, and the second record is basically singles and remixes and demos and things like that, which are I always love those. So this was a great pickup. I mean, for the money, it was pretty hard to beat. I hope they're still around, so if you didn't get one, you can grab a copy. Mine is also numbered. I've got number 2327. Not sure if it's coming through there or not, but anyway, that was a great one. Next one is maybe a little bit controversial to some, but it's the Michael Jackson Thriller One Step. It's 33 RPM. I like the new packaging. I think it looks like it's just going to be packaging for the single record, all one steps. It's a slipcase with all the other accoutrement that's usually there. I have number 3852. Sounds great, even though it's from a digital file, because the mastering was really done well. So this is kind of a twofer. I kind of put them together as a single favorite, just because it's the same album. And it's basically the John Coltrane Tone Poets. So you got the stereo, which actually has a whole bunch of different takes on a second record as well. And then we also have the mono version, which this is my first mono copy I have of this, which is one of my favorite albums, so I was very excited to get that. I would say one of the slight disappointments on this, and another one of my disappointments for this year, is that for a Tone Poet, it was a little bit on the noisy side. There was some surface noise. You know, I did ultrasonic cleaning, and I did, vacuum cleaning on them, and still had a little bit of noise. I mean, it's still far better than some of the other standard kind of pressings that are out there in the world that get released, but for a Tone Poets, they actually had some noise. And in general, that was kind of my assumption, or I should say, that was kind of my experience with most of the tone poets this year. They were still better than most typical pressings, but they all still had a little bit of noise, and it was a little bit disappointing. So another one of my disappointments for this year, but I was very excited to get both of those because they both sound great. And I was really excited to get not only the alternate takes and things like that from the stereo, but also the mono, which were all cut from analog master tapes. All right, another one of my favorites, and it also is John Coltrane, but this is my favorite things. This actually has it's the 60th anniversary, and it's very similar to the Blue Train. This is the stereo and mono versions, and what I really am excited about for this one that I really enjoyed is the stereo version of this. In my opinion, if you're sitting down and listening to music and it's not, you're kind of, for lack of a better term, critically listening to music, the stereo version, in my opinion, just isn't good because everything's hard panned left and right. Where with the mono, it's a little bit more cohesive. So it was very nice to get that in mono. And again, that's the first time I've had that in mono. So that was really cool. Next up is Norah Jones' Come Away With Me, the box set here. I want to say it was 4 records, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember exactly how many, but anyways, the main album proper was actually cut by one of my favorites at Sterling, Joe Nino Hernandez. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but the most important thing about this for the analog junkies out there is, again, it was cut from the original analog master tapes. The proper album. The rest of the outtakes and demos and things like that, those were all cut from digital, but still sound phenomenal. But the main album was cut from the original analog master tapes, and this definitely sounds spectacular. So very excited to get that for this year. Another great one that came out earlier this year, and I'm still waiting for the next one to come out from this company. But anyways, Miles Davis Quintet, Relaxin', One Step. This is probably my favorite one step or high-end premium box set packaging. The mobile fidelity, the new mobile fidelity one steps are pretty similar, but I like the little pull tab. That's a nice little touch. But this one sounds great. It's mono. It's Craft Recordings. I believe this was cut by Bernie Grundman as well. I have number 3701. So that sounds spectacular, and one of the best quintets that Miles Davis had. Same quintet, essentially, that he used for Kinda Blue and a few other popular ones. Next up, another one similar to that Curtis Mayfield Superfly, but this one is Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? So in a similar fashion on this one, the original album was cut from the original master tapes by Kevin Gray, and then there is a second record of single versions, stripped down versions, alternate versions, mono versions of the songs that are on the album. And this was, again, I think a 50th anniversary edition as well. But sounds spectacular. This definitely gives the MoFi One Step that was released, I think it was a couple years ago, a run for its money. I still like the One Step's sound quality better, but I like, the one drawback that I had with that one was that this record really needs to be on one record because each side has a kind of consistency to it, and when you break that up, it kind of loses something a little bit. But from a sound quality standpoint, the One Step sounded better, but not by much. So this one wins out because of the extras and the continuity that you get by having the album on one record. So next up is Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced, the UHQR. Definitely the best sounding version of it, although I still have yet to be able to find out what's going on because some of the mixes, the channels are reversed, and I don't have any information as to what happened there. It seems to have happened after the 80s, I think, or in the 80s, I can't remember when, but, pre-1980, I believe it was, all of the different variations of this, I think 3 or 4 of the songs had the channels reversed. So, I don't know what it was, so I don't know what the original master was like, but, so hopefully this was the original master, but it doesn't matter because it still sounds spectacular. I do like the packaging on the UHQRs, although I think they're still a little bit bulky for what you're getting, but still cool packaging. All right, and last up, I have a big box set. It's the Blondie box set. I have to freely admit that I have not listened to every single record on this yet. However, I have listened to a lot of it, and it sounds great. The packaging is great. The box it was shipped in even was Blondie related, the cardboard box. So that was very, very cool as well. But phenomenal box set. I actually got the platinum or white vinyl version. They call it I think they call it the platinum version. So, but that is my top 10 favorite of the reissues that came out this year. Some other ones that I really, really liked were, there was an Ornette Coleman one from his first two albums that I think were on Prestige, I believe. And that box set was kind of cool. It was a two record set. There were several others that were really cool. One other one that was kind of a disappointment to me in some ways, though, was, I actually have it here, is the Kiss Creatures of the Night box set. Kiss, this album is one of my favorite Kiss albums, and I was very excited for it because, as they did with the Destroyer box set, they had a surround sound version, they had a high resolution version of it on a Blu-ray, had a whole bunch of extras and all kinds of little gimmicky stuff inside, but I didn't feel that it was as fulfilling as the Destroyer one, from the kind of gimmicky stuff that was inside. But more importantly, I was really disappointed with the mastering of the original album. Super, super loud. They compressed the heck out of it. And the surround sound mix did not sound good. Last one was done by Steven Wilson. This one was not, and it was obvious because it just wasn't done as well. So, and it was retailed for a lot more than the Destroyer box set, but I fortunately got it as on a good deal from Amazon, so I didn't end up paying quite as much, but it still was overpriced, even if it was going to fulfill all the desires that I wanted. But the alternative tracks on there, the bonus tracks and outtakes and demos and those types of things were really great on it, but everything else was kind of a disappointment, unfortunately. So, but anyway, that is everything I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would love to hear what some of your favorite reissues were for the year, and put them in the comment section if you could. But if you liked what you saw here, hit that like button. If you want to know when my new videos come out, hit that alert bell and subscribe to my channel. I love subscribers, so that would be awesome. You can also check me out on social media. I have a True Audiophiles Facebook group. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as well. All of the links are in the description in this video as well. So that is everything I have for this episode. So thank you very much, and you have a great one.